What is e-waste? Electronic waste, or e-waste, includes computers and all their components, televisions, cell phones, iPods, and other electronic goods that become obsolete, broken, or just no longer wanted or required. Electronic toys and novelties so highly desired can quickly become unwanted or unused playthings. Many other electronic items are quickly outdated. Companies spend millions of dollars tempting consumers with their newest version. So what's the problem? Electronics are a vital part of our world today. They allow us to work and communicate faster in this 24/7 global economy. But the production of electronics uses fossil fuels that are in limited supply to make and transport these goods. However, it is what we do to dispose of them that is becoming a huge problem. There has been no concern for the long-term consequences on the environment from the disposal of these items. It's estimated that Americans dispose of over 300 million computers and electronics annually. Overall, the volume of waste electronic and electronic equipment is set to grow at a rate 3 times higher than other municipal waste. Many of the components of electronic waste are toxic and are classified as hazardous waste in their disposal. Among these are lead, mercury, and cadmium. These can damage the environment and are dangerous to human health. The dumping of e-waste creates not only a large volume of trash, it also is an environmental problem when these substances are not handled and disposed of correctly. Immediate effects can be from exposure to toxins, or there can be long-term effects as heavy metals leach into the water table soil. Where is it all going? Many of these unwanted or unusable electronic goods are being turned in for recycling, but to avoid the expense of proper handling, brokers are exporting huge amounts to developing countries for recycling. In these countries, there are few regulations, and it is easy to bypass those that exist. For example, Africa has become a leading destination for e-waste. Coastal cities such as Lagos and Nigeria have become major entry points for this material. Importers pay for shipping containers of electronic materials, which they are then supposed to be able to recycle and reuse, as Africa does not have the capacity to produce new computers and other electronic goods. The containers are sold by weight, not by the value of the goods inside. It costs approximately $5,000 for a 40-foot container of used electronic equipment from the United States, according to Charles Schmidt in Environmental Health Perspectives. Unfortunately, up to 75% of these items received are irreparable junk. The unusable junk then becomes a hazardous waste problem. Gaiyu, in China's southeastern Guangdong province, has been transformed over the last decade into a center for processing and recycling electronic goods. The extensive coastline makes it easily accessible for imports of e-waste, even though many types of electronic items were banned in 2002. The orange groves that were once the town's main source of income are gone to make space for buildings used for recycling e-waste. Jen Lin Lu explains following a visit to Gaiyu that much of the work is done by hand by women behind barricades to prevent journalists and officials from observing the methods and conditions. East Delhi, India is also a center for the recycling of e-waste. Greenpeace explains that whereas it costs $20 to recycle a computer in the United States, it only costs $2 in India. Many components are burned, and in the process, noxious fumes containing heavy metals are released into the air. Acids used to strip cables of any remaining precious metals are then tipped into open sewers to enter the water cycle. Scientists at the University of Exeter in the United Kingdom have examined samples of dust, soil, and wastewater from the sites, finding them to be some of the most contaminated samples ever received. In recent years, 20 to 50 metric tons of e-waste is generated worldwide. For the year 2006, the EPA reported that the United States generated 2.9 million tons of e-waste. Of this total, 330,000 tons was recycled, accounting for only 11.4% of our e-waste. The rest was put into landfills. E-waste shows a higher growth rate than any other category of municipal waste. Europe is trying to combat this growth through legislation and directives, but the United States is lagging behind considerably. Until more universal directives are adopted throughout the world, especially those that produce high amounts of e-waste, our landfills are going to fill up beyond their capacity. Until action is taken globally, e-waste will continue to grow exponentially. We can use the 3 R's when making decisions about new purchases and disposing of our old and unwanted products. Buy products that can be upgraded or refurbished if needed in the future, making them more sustainable. Many of the items we replace still have life left in them or can be fixed. However, we often find ourselves buying new products because it is economically feasible. However, these items can still be reused. Devices, especially computers that still work, can be useful even after they are considered obsolete. If you have outgrown the usefulness of a computer, printer, monitor, or cell phone, try donating it to an organization or person that might find it useful. Not everyone needs the latest, fastest, and greatest. Just remember the old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Finding new homes for our still functioning electronics means keeping it out of our landfills. And last, we need to make sure that we dispose of our old, unwanted electronics in an environmentally responsible way. Check your state's recycling programs and ensure that your local area has a designated place where people can properly dispose of items that contain toxic material. Look for manufacturers that take back their products or can help with information on how to dispose of unwanted products safely. The European Union has passed directives in order to deal with the exponential growth of e-waste. By coming up with the Waste, Electrical, and Electronic Equipment Directive, the end life of a product is brought back full circle, requiring manufacturers to collect and recycle their own products free of charge to the consumer. Such directives are thought of as a way to combat the planned obsolescence that is common practice with electronic manufacturers. Simply put, the Waste, Electrical, and Electronic Equipment Directive places the responsibility of recycling on the manufacturer. The European Union has also taken steps in restricting the use of hazardous materials in the manufacturing of electronics. Through the Restriction of Hazardous Substance Directive, manufacturers are required to substitute safer alternatives to the toxic heavy metals that are currently used. The objective is to reduce or eliminate the amount of toxic material that makes its way into our waterways when these products end up in landfills. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, there is currently no federal mandate that addresses how e-waste is to be handled and recycled. The Resource Conservation and Recovery Act of 1976 addresses CRT monitors only. There are also separate laws that address the disposal of batteries. The leadership in the United States cannot agree on how to develop a federal approach in dealing with the growing e-waste problem. On a lower level, many states are trying to deal with e-waste in a way that their resources allow. Currently, there are 19 states, along with New York City, that have established local laws that address e-waste. California led the way when it passed a law in 2003 allowing manufacturers to charge an advanced recovery or recycling fee at the point of sale on electronic items. By doing so, consumers now have a place to dispose of the product at the end of its life cycle. This makes the manufacturer responsible for the end disposal of the products they produce. According to these California laws, no electronic waste will be disposed of in landfills nor exported overseas. Consumer beware. There are many places that we can find information on the environmental friendliness of companies we buy from. Watchdog organizations, like Greenpeace, often publish report cards on how companies are doing in regards to their policies and manufacturing. By doing a little research before buying from a manufacturer, we can ensure that we are not supporting a company who does not act responsibly. By making informed decisions, we can help in reducing the amount of e-waste that ends up in our landfills.